my name is Ed Griffith. I teach at San Diego Oasis here in San Diego, California. I teach soul line dance. I teach the beginner's level and the very basic beginner's level. We just have a great time dancing and exercising. I think they would find it surprising that I was San Diego High School drum major my junior and senior year. So led the band through a lot of parades and different competitions. And it was exciting for me, but I never thought I would ever be a drum major. But I happened to audition, and I won this position as a drum major of the band for 2 years. Well, back in 2003, I was attending East Lake Community Church, and they had a small group, and some friends came to me and just bugged me, "Hey, why don't you come to, we need men in the group. We need men to come dance with us." So I went to the class. It was country western line dance, and myself, I thought I would never do country western line dance, but I loved it. I met a lot of nice people. So in 2009, I started helping out with teaching. Then I formed my own group called Velocity in 2010 and started teaching soul line dance. Then in 2012, we did a little showcase and we started dancing different showcases. So then we started becoming a little popular in San Diego sector. So then we started doing a little traveling with the group. So we just had a ball, just teaching, having fun, meeting people, seeing the joy on people's faces. The Oasis, the best thing about the Oasis is give us seniors a place to go and have fun. To break up a week where we're not at home alone, we meet new friends. It's like one big happy family. And the staff here is just amazing. They treat everybody equal. They're loving, they're caring, anything you need. They will see to it that your needs are met. And I just love them all. Just to see the smiling faces every week I come here, there's not an unhappy face. And what I like most is they always come back and say, "Yeah, thank you so much. We really enjoy your class. We really love the Oasis." So what I went and done is I had an Oasis shirt made, and then they started wanting this Oasis shirt. So they asked me, and I confirmed with Oasis, "Do you mind if they get this shirt?" They said, "Go ahead." And several students have bought this shirt, and they wear it proudly.
Hi, my name is Russell Rowe. I teach a bone building fitness class and a better balance free from falls class here at San Diego Oasis. My favorite movie of all time, hands down, is It's a Wonderful Life. And there are so many different reasons why this movie is important to me. So I first saw this movie when I was about 10 years old. I'd actually just gotten in a fight with my brother the morning before. And one of the reasons that I love It's a Wonderful Life is because I identified so much with the character George Bailey. So he was adventurous, he wanted to go and travel, he had like big ideas, grand, visions for his life. But at heart, he was a really good person who wanted to take care of people. And if you haven't seen the movie, the premise of the whole movie is that he's frustrated with his life and he thinks that he would have been better off dead than alive. And so he gets a chance to see what his life would have been like if he had died. And you get to see how many people's lives he impacted with his goodness. And I love that fact because each of us impacts other people's lives. So even when we feel like our life isn't going well or things are tough or whatever, each of us is impacting other people's lives in ways that we're not even aware of. There's one other scene in the movie where there's a run on his bank, on his savings and loan. A run meaning that people were pulling out their money. They wanted to get all their money out. And he was supposed to be going on his honeymoon with his wife, and they had a lot of money. And George Bailey decided to go into the savings and loan and give people money to prevent the run from happening. And so it really, one of the things that he said in the movie is that we've all got to stick together. We've all got to work together to make sure that Potter was the name of the other guy that was trying to get everyone to come over to his bank, and then he would have closed the savings and loan, and then that would have put him out of business, and then he could have started charging prices for whatever he wanted. Anyway, to make a long story short, at the end of the movie, obviously, people come out of the woodworks to give him money because they know that he's in trouble. See, this is even making me emotional just thinking about this movie. But anyway, he who has friends is never lost, basically, is the message of the movie. So that's what I took home. I think something that other people would find surprising about me is that I've had quite a few different jobs in my life. I actually got my bachelor's degree is in mechanical engineering, and I worked as an engineer for 2 years, and I realized that wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. So I went back and got my master's degree in exercise physiology and started my own personal training business in 1997. One of my first personal training clients was really into astrology at the time, and I didn't believe in astrology at all. But I didn't know anything about astrology either, and I've always been a very curious, open-minded person. So she convinced me to go and get a birth chart report, which I did. And when I read it, I couldn't believe how much of it sounded like me. So I got really curious about what this, system astrology is about. So I went to see a professional astrologer. And the professional astrologer was even more accurate than the birth chart. So I was like, this is amazing. I want to learn this system. So shortly after that, I started learning Western astrology, because that's the one that is most common here in the United States. And I got certified as a professional Western astrologer in about 2000 actually. And then I decided to get my associate's degree in Vedic astrology, which is the astrology from India. And that one is a little bit more predictive and a little bit more karmic related. And so I'm sure most people don't know that I'm a professional astrologer as well as a group fitness instructor and a former engineer. It was a 6-week class actually called How to Understand Yourself and Other People. So I'm very interested in different personality systems, and I've learned lots of different personality systems in depth. And so this course was my way of teaching one personality system each week to the class. And then the last week we did a compilation where basically I knew everyone's types, and then I helped people understand themselves better in that last week by understanding all of their different types. And so I kind of went through and we discussed it, we talked about it as well. And so it was a fun way for me to bring together all of these different systems and present them to the class and help people understand themselves a little bit better. If people are curious what the systems were, they were Keirsey's temperament types, the Myers-Briggs system, the Enneagram, the DISC system, and attachment styles.
When you arrive at our centers, volunteers greet you.
Can I help you?
Check you in for your classes, answer your registration questions, and call you with program updates. Volunteers also help with special projects from time to time. If you have attended one of our online classes, you likely have noticed our Zoom host volunteers who work behind the scenes to help classes run smoothly. In our Digital Divide program, participants, who are often first-time technology users, rely on volunteers to help them learn the basics of using a tablet. Training will be provided for all volunteer roles. We are excited to have you as part of our awesome volunteer team.
Hi, Hi, I'm Elinor Smith. I teach progressive strength training here at Oasis, and I love it. My first concert was seeing the Boston Symphony at Symphony Hall in Boston, which is a lovely hall. I used to go as a child, along with my siblings, to the South End Music School, which was started by Arthur Fiedler. You could get your music lessons for 25 cents. So on Saturdays, we'd go to the South End Music School. You had to take solfege before you could start any instrument so that you would know how to read music. And we'd essentially spend our Saturday mornings there. The reason I mention that is because Arthur Fiedler, and you probably know him as the person who did the Boston Pops on the Esplanade, saw to it that children could get as many lessons as they wanted. Many of the teachers were students at the conservatories in Boston, and you just spend the whole day there. And when you finished your class, there was a little orchestra going all day long, and people would come in and sit in when the classes were finished, and then take another class and come back in and sit in. And I used to get to sit in and play the piano with the orchestra. So Arthur Fiedler saw to it that whenever there were extra tickets for the Boston Symphony, students at the South End Music School got them. And I remember my first concert in that grand hall. It was like many of the halls in Europe, kind of a rectangle. And we'd sit in the balcony, and just hearing the Boston Symphony was such a treat. I was 70 years old. I was about to retire, but I didn't want to just retire. So I went to City College at night that last year before I retired, and took the courses to become a personal trainer, a certified personal trainer. I was the oldest person in all the classes, and the classes were full, and there were lots of young people who came, especially guys, and said, oh, I can lift this many pounds. But when it came to the math and the other part of being a trainer, a lot of them had difficulty, and so the numbers dropped. But that year, of being 70 was when I became a certified personal trainer. You know, the best thing about Oasis is the people. It's the members, it's the staff, all of you, it's the volunteers that make Oasis the place it is. I like the way the courses are scheduled so that people can come and try out to find what they'd like. They can take one class at a time, or they can sign up for the whole month. And it's just a lovely place to be. I think a lot of people come here as much for the social part as for the classes and the activities, and it just kind of makes my day to come here and teach.
Hi, I'm Laura, and I'm an instructor here at Oasis, and I teach Zumba Gold on Mondays and Wednesdays. I was born and raised in San Diego, so I actually went out to San Diego State to go to college, and I needed a car to drive out to school. There was no trolley back then, so it was either that or the bus. And my brother had a 1965 Ford Mustang, which he had already loaned to my sister, who then decided she didn't want it anymore, and she gave it to me. Now, at this point, this car has been through 2 teenagers, so I am like the third in a long line, and it got me back and forth, I will say, for a few years. But if you've ever driven out to San Diego State, you know that it's just no fun to park in there, and my car decided it didn't like going out to San Diego State and it died on me. Fortunately, I was already home at the time that it died, and I had to find another way to get to school. So I had to buy another car, but that was my first car. My first job was working for my parents. My dad always was self-employed, and my mom was working with him and decided in 1970 to open up her own retail flower shop. So at the age of 16, I was actually getting a paycheck to work at my mom's shop. So you know, if you live in a family that the parents both work in their own business, the kids are always the ones that are called upon to be their first employees. So I worked for her through college, and I paid my way through college working at the shops. She ultimately bought 2 more until she sold the 3 of them in 1980. But I worked there right through finishing college and even a year or so after that. And that was my first job, working in a flower shop. When I took an early retirement from my last job, I immediately was thrust into being a caregiver for my aunt, who was developing dementia. And I basically took over responsibility for her day-to-day care just because I wasn't working. And so we're fast forward a couple of years, and I'm beginning to feel like I need a break, or I need something for me. I was so focused on family and taking care of family, and I was really kind of losing myself. And my mother, of all people, told me about Oasis. She said in the early 80s, she was taking Oasis classes when it was still in Mission Valley and it was still May Company. She had thoroughly enjoyed the classes that she took, and she recommended that I just look at the catalog. There might be a class or an exercise program that you might like, that you might be interested in. I did, and I found Zumba Gold, and it was taught by Pam Toombs, who is still the teacher of Zumba Gold here at Oasis. And I started taking that class over in the Claremont location on Monday mornings, and I loved it. I immediately loved it. I loved the music, I loved the dancing, that it was an exercise format. It was an hour away from my other life, and I could just have a great time. And fast forward, 10 years, I'm still here. Now I'm an instructor, but that was also something that, I hadn't planned on, but I'm thoroughly enjoying being an instructor and helping other people discover Zumba. And it's just been a real pleasure for me to work for Oasis.
Hi, my name is Brandon Harding, Director of Lifelong Learning at San Diego Oasis. Thank you so much for watching our video. Please like and subscribe for future updates and help our channel grow. Once again, thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.